Our gospel lesson this morning is found in the book of John, chapter 10, verses 11 through 17. I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd gives his life for the sheep. But a hireling, he who is not the shepherd, one who does not own the sheep, sees the wolf coming and leaves the sheep and flees. The wolf catches the sheep and scatters them. The hireling flees because he is a hireling and does not care about the sheep. I am the good shepherd, and I know my sheep, and am known by my own. As the Father knows me, even so I know the Father, and I lay down my life for the sheep. And the other sheep which I have, which are not of this fold, them I must also bring, and they will hear my voice. And there will be one flock and one shepherd. Therefore my Father loves me, and because I lay down my life, that I may take it again. May God give us blessing to the reading of His Word. Well, today's Mother's Day. It's a day to honor our mothers, those who have been like mothers to us, and other people's mothers, mothers present, past, and future. There's been a long tradition of Mother's Day, as you heard in the children's message. It was established in the early 1900s and celebrated before the Civil War era. Parenting woes and ideals of motherhood go back to early biblical history. Remember that God was the original parent. Have you ever thought of God as mother? Some newer versions of the Bible refer to God in masculine and feminine terms in order to be inclusive. Those of you who have read the novel called The Shack may remember that in that story, God is portrayed as a large black woman, just a little different from the imposing male figure of God who is pictured on the Sistine Chapel ceiling with his hand outstretched to Adam. When I was researching for this message, I came across a little story about God as a parent. And it goes like this. When your kids are out of control, you can take comfort from the thought that even God's omnipotence did not extend to God's kids. After creating heaven and earth, God created Adam and Eve. And the first thing He said was, "Don't." Adam replied, "Don't what?" And God said, "Don't eat the forbidden fruit." Adam exclaimed, "Forbidden fruit? We got forbidden fruit. Hey, Eve, we got forbidden fruit." And Eve replied, "No way." And Adam said, "Yes way." "Don't eat the fruit," said God. Adam and Eve asked, "Why?" "Because I'm your father, and I said so," said God. And he wondered why he hadn't stopped creating things after the elephants and the cheetahs. A few minutes later, God saw his kids having a fruit break and was angry. "Didn't I tell you not to eat the fruit?" Adam replied, "Uh-huh." The first parent asked, "Then why did you?" "I don't know," Eve answered. "She started it," Adam said. And then they yelled back and forth, "Did not, did you? Did not, did you? Did not." Having had it with the two of them, God's punishment was that Adam and Eve should have children of their own. Thus the pattern was set, and it's never changed. But there's reassurance in this story. If you persistently and lovingly try to give your children wisdom and haven't taken it, they haven't taken it, don't be hard on yourself. If God had trouble handling children, did you think it would be a piece of cake for humans? By the way, my daughter is getting her paybacks now by my youngest granddaughter growling over inside. There's many references to the qualities of motherhood and how mothers should be treated in the Bible. One of them is in Proverbs, a different section than what we read today, but Proverbs 6, verses 20 through 22 says, "My son, keep your father's commandment and forsake not your mother's teaching. Bind them on your heart always. Tie them around your neck. When you walk, they will lead you. When you lie down, they will watch over you. And when you awake, they will talk with you." There's another not so popular part of Proverbs, which we did read some pieces of today, Proverbs 31, called the virtuous woman, often in biblical titles. And I think if you did everything in that passage as a woman, you would have to be superwoman. But there are some things that you can pick out that are good qualities for mothers. The part where she strengthens herself daily. She perceives that her provision for her family is good. You do need strength, and God can give that to you. She works diligently to see to the needs of her family. She's not an idle woman. I don't really know any mothers that are idle. And regardless of whether a mother stays home and works or works in the labor force, she works to care for the needs of her family. It's an important aspect of motherhood that you can't ignore. Our work is to be diligent and in the best interests of our families, not ourselves. If you ask older mothers who have been through many trials and tribulations of childbearing, they will affirm the importance of paying attention to the spiritual, physical, and mental wholeness of the family. The value of this verse for a mother cannot be underestimated. With this as the basis for living as a mother, focused on her family, young lives are built that will not fall and will be healthier emotionally and spiritually. A good mother builds up her family and blesses her children with a strong, big spiritual foundation. Recall what King Solomon had to say in the rest of the verse. Her children rise up and call her blessed. Now, my kids have not called me exactly blessed very much, but they have said thank you occasionally. And I take that as being blessed. There's no greater honor than to be considered a virtuous mother. It's the highest honor that can be bestowed on any mother. There's lots of moms in the Bible, and there's lessons to be learned from them, not just from their virtues, but also from their sins and errors. We know Eve was the first human mother. She experienced the pain of being separated from God because of the sin that she and Adam committed. She also experienced the pain and joy of childbirth and the labor that she had to put in caring for them in an unknown world outside of the garden. And she also experienced the pain of death of one of her children at the hands of another. Sarah was one of the oldest mothers. Isaac was born in her old age, and he was the answer to her lifelong prayer. But Sarah had not fully trusted and believed God through the years. So she did have some pain and consequences for trying to take it into her own hands and not fully trusting God, especially when she gave her handmaiden to Abraham to have a son with. Rebekah, who was Isaac's wife, was the mother of Jacob and Esau. And Rebekah encouraged Jacob to claim his father's blessing in the place of Esau, which caused a lot of pain and betrayal and separation between her sons. Yet God did seem to be working through her, and Jacob led Israel. Hannah is another famous mother of the Bible, who was the mother of Samuel. She was also childless for many years, and her trust in God and prayers were answered with a son. She faithfully fulfilled her promise to God and gave Samuel up to God to be raised in the temple, which again caused pain with separation. In today's epistle lesson, which is a letter written from Paul to Timothy, there are two ladies that are mentioned, Lois and Eunice. Eunice was Timothy's mother, and Lois was his grandmother. And Paul was mentoring Timothy from afar through these letters. He reminded him to draw strength from remembering his upbringing in the faith as he worked and traveled to share the gospel of Christ. And of course, probably the most famous mother of the Bible of all is Mary, the mother of Jesus, a mother who is venerated by the Catholic Church. She trusted God from the moment that she was visited by an angel. She suffered the shame of being a young, unwed mother, and she experienced the pain and joy of birth, and then continued to raise a son in the Jewish faith. She watched him make the ultimate sacrifice to pay for the sins of humanity by an excruciating death on the cross. She experienced the joy of his resurrection and ascension, and she was given a place of honor in heaven. Our gospel lesson this morning, the Good Shepherd, may not seem totally related to Mother or Mother's Day, but the image of a shepherd shares a lot of the qualities that moms have. And Jesus draws the analogy between shepherding and his being our protector, which is reminiscent of mothers who care for their offspring. Mother hens have an instinct to aggressively shield their chicks from harm. The same can be said for most animals, and God created mothers to care for their own. It's easy to think of the Good Shepherd as the good mother, because motherhood is truly a ministry that imitates Christ's love for us. Jesus' own mother was an example of the good mother, and Mary gave new respect to the role of women and mothers. She was always there for her son. Jesus' list of the qualifications of the Good Shepherd contains the following: the willingness to suffer and even die for the sheep, the calling of the sheep by name, all the care and nurturing that the shepherd gives the sheep. And the Good Shepherd does this with more than just love and nurturing and protecting. He or she does all of those things without regard for him or herself. It's natural today to think about our own mothers. In a time before I can remember, for the first 10 months of my life, my mom, as a young Marine's wife, parented and cared for me alone while my dad was deployed to Korea. When I was a child, many times she cared for me when I was sick. She brought me Berners ginger ale to settle my tummy, or mixed the yucky liquid sulfa medicine into hot cocoa so it didn't taste so bad. There were many times when she pulled a red wagon several blocks to the store with 4 young children to buy groceries because she didn't have a driver's license or a car. All those times that she gave up what she wanted so that my brothers and sisters and I could be where we wanted to be or needed to be, doing what we wanted to do. All those times she helped with homework. And I remember one time she stayed up most of the night with me while I typed a research paper that I had procrastinated about. She didn't stay up to type for me, but she helped me stay awake so that I could type. The times she sent me to my room to think about my behavior, or to cry it out and then came to talk and comfort me when we had both calmed down. When I think of all the times I've needed her as an adult, the highs and lows, the happy times and the sad times, she's been there to celebrate with me, or to cry with me, or to hold me in her arms and tell me it will be all right. She's taught me to love God and how to love and shepherd my children. A good mother is like a good shepherd, caring, nurturing, protective, and selfless. And just like a good shepherd, trains the next generation to be good shepherds too. A mother trains the next generation and passes on the faith. When I see what good mothers my daughters are to their little, or not so little anymore, flocks, I'm proud to be their mother. Although I'm sure they learned some of their lessons from my mistakes or failings. I pray that they will continue to grow and mature as parents, and that their faith will be passed on to the next generation. So happy Mother's Day to my girls, my mom, and all of you who have mothered me somewhere along the way. Happy Mother's Day.